This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
Oh my. I've got a blog up, a little posting on my blog. I'm looking for your in-law stories. Things that you've experienced with your in-laws, and also some tips. I'm getting married in February. My mother-in-law is going to be living with us forever. It's not a temporary thing, and I'm just trying to get off on the right foot to make sure I can avoid as many pitfalls as possible. So if you have them, please share with me on my blog at 700WLW.com. I could really use your tips. I'll read some of those from the posts that you put up there at 11:06, and I'll also take them live. 11:06 this morning, your in-law, not just mother-in-law, but in-laws tips in general. You got that brother-in-law? How about that? And also some of your stories. 11:06. Could you come up with $1,000 right now? Do you have $1,000? No, I'm not looking for a loan. Just curious. If you had to come up with $1,000, let's say by this afternoon, $1,000 cash, could you come up with it? And what would you have to do to get it? Would you have to sacrifice something else, paying some other bill? Say, well, I guess we're not going to be able to eat for a couple of days. I'm not going to pay my mortgage. Would you have to borrow it from somebody? Or could you just come up with $1,000? Could you say, yeah, I'll go get it out of the bank? I found an amazing statistic recently. A new study was done. They interviewed thousands of people, and they asked, could you come up with $1,000 in cash? Liquid in hand, and how much trouble would it be for you to do that? 64% of Americans could not come up with $1,000 cash. 64%. If you told me that number was 40%, I would have said, wow, that's not real good. Maybe understand it, but not real good. Almost 2/3 of all Americans could not come up with $1,000 if they had to. That's an incredible statistic. What makes it so powerful is that we are the wealthiest country. We have the highest quality of life. Look at the amount of money that flows through America. Oh, it's incredible. In property values, I mean, we're the, I think, third largest geographical country. Just the property values in the big cities in America, the big companies that are here, the resources, trees and gold and silver and oil. I mean, it just goes on and on. We are a very prosperous and wealthy country. In fact, one of the most wealthy countries that has ever existed. And 2/3 of its citizens cannot come up with $1,000. Now, $1,000 is a lot of money. I recognize that. I'm the guy that goes around and picks up pennies here at the station. I'm the one who said, you know what, it's not a lousy $5 when the Inquirer said, it's just a lousy $5. I get the value of money. And $1,000 is a lot for, most people. That's a house payment, a car payment, and some other things paid. But when you look at what most people make, the average salary, 30, 40, I think it's high 30s now, low 40s. You can't come up with 1/40th of your income? And it's not just now in what you make. We've been that prosperous for a long time. We've been that prosperous, and people haven't put away. They haven't saved. See, I think that's really the key. All of the debates we're having, doesn't matter your political ideology. I'm not looking for excuses or scapegoats on how we got here. I'm just pointing it out that almost 2/3 of Americans cannot come up with $1,000. If we really had the right idea about money, knowing that we have this many opportunities still in America and the amount of money that flows through, I would think that really at this point, most Americans should be able to come up with $5,000, $10,000 if they had to. I would think most Americans, again, think about how prosperous we are by comparison, that most Americans should be able to, may not want to, and it may be a little tricky, but you'd be able to go to the bank and say reluctantly, I need to take out $10,000. without any penalties to your 401k or borrowing from your mother-in-law or anything like that, you should really probably have that, because what are your monthly expenses? What about over the course of a year? What do you, $1,000 a month for your monthly expenses? $2,000, $5,000? Let's say your monthly expenses are $3,000. Well, the idea is to be able to have access to about a year in case the worst happens. So you would need about $30,000 in savings that you could get to quickly in case something happened. Not something that, like I said, a 401k where you'd be penalized. But people can't come up with $1,000. That's incredible to me. It's sad. Now, are you one of those people? Could you come up with $1,000 if you had to? $1,000 by this afternoon. I'd love to hear your story. 513-749-7800, the big one, or pound 700 on AT&T. Tell me your story and your situation. Could you come up with $1,000? Are you one of the 64% who could not? Now, here's how it breaks down. 17% said that they would have to, if they needed to come up with that money, they would have to borrow it from a family member or a friend. That's 17%. Another 17% said that they would have to neglect their other financial obligations, credit card bills, mortgage, or maybe not even eat. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of us that have a credit card where you could say, well, I could put something on a credit card and really come up with the money, or cash advance or something like that. I'm talking about going to the bank and not sweating it. 12% of the people said they would have to sell or pawn something to come up with $1,000. 9% said that they would need to take out a loan, more traditional type loan, because another 9% said that they would have to get a cash advance type loan from their credit card or one of the high interest, fast, local money store corner loan places. Another 9% would have to do that. That's really pretty sad. Me, I'm trying to think. I'm paying for that wedding I've mentioned, and that is pretty difficult right now. Things are tight, but if I had to, yes, I could. I'm fortunate enough that I could come up with $1,000. $5,000? No, that's not going to happen right now. And I'm somebody that, because of the industry I'm in, I recognize that I need to have that money ready to go. This is an industry where tomorrow you can turn on the radio and there'll be somebody else here and you'll never hear my name uttered again. That's how this industry works. You're there, you're gone. It happens. I could be in Walla Walla, Washington next week working. Or I could be on the beach for 6 months or a year or 6 years. So I've always tried to keep that extra, as much as I can. The goal is about a year or so in reserves in case the worst happens. And after the wedding, it'll build back up a little bit because that's a priority of mine. It's funny, though, that that's not a priority for us. And I don't think it's simply because people don't make enough money. I think it's because we don't look at saving and putting away for the downtime when there's an uptime. That's not a priority. It's just, hey, I have an extra $20, an extra $100 I can run to the bank or I can run to the store and buy something or buy that TV. Because look around. Even the poor among us, quite often they have TVs and new clothes and everything else. Yes, some of that stuff is donated or whatever, but a lot of times it's not. It's just not a priority to save. Whereas if they did save, they took a year, 2, 3, whatever it is, and said, I'm going to do without. Like it's a hard time because I'm going to put that money into a savings account or an investment 3, 4, whatever years down the road. You can go back to living like you live now, but you're going to have that money. And you slowly build that savings up. I found that statistic amazing. 64%, almost 2/3, could not come up with $1,000 in one of, if not the most prosperous country that has ever existed. And here's the thing. Even if you're one of those poor people, that politicians love to pull out so they can get reelected, even if you're one of them, you still have opportunity. You still have the opportunity to go out and make that kind of money, even if you're poor. I mean, you could put away $10 here, $5 there, and build it up. It's just not a priority. I have a theory coming up to why it's not a priority for us. I'll share it in a couple minutes, but I really want to hear your stories if you come up with a grand. In Dayton, Barbara, how are you?
Hi, good morning.
Happy Friday.
Oh, yes. Just a few weeks ago, I had to come up with $900.
You had to come up with it?
Had to.
Okay.
It meant my dog's life.
Did you come up with it?
I did, but I had to rob Peter to pay Paul, and I'm still running behind on the rent.
It's a horrible, Barbara.
It was an emergency veterinarian hospital.
Mm-hmm.
My dog had a seizure. I'd come home in the middle of it, and he didn't come out of it like he normally does, and my vet did not put him on medicine right away because he hasn't been having them very frequently. This lasted over 20 minutes, and if their body temperature reaches over 106, they'll stroke out.
Right.
So I grabbed him, my car keys, put him in the car, did 75 mile an hour down the freeway to the animal hospital. And, of course, they took him right away. He had to sign a release saying that they could treat him, put an IV in him, the whole works. They give you a ballpark idea of what they think it's going to cost. And the range was $365 to $750, I think it was. I'm like, okay, you have to pay half of that before you leave, before they'll even treat the dog and you can leave.
That had to be a stressful moment knowing you didn't have that money.
Exactly. I had 2 credit cards that had a little bit on them, so I could pay like $75 with one credit card. I asked her, I said, how many credit cards can I do in one transaction here? And I did have some cash. And they asked for the middle of that 360 to 700. So
Wow.
They asked for half of that, or in the middle.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick, Barbara. What are your circumstances? Have you tried to save? Was it hard times? Just tell me your general attitude and what's happening.
A couple of different things. My husband's job and my job is not a normal job where we know exactly what we're going to make every week.
That makes it tricky.
That's very tricky to save that way. Some weeks we could have excellent pay weeks, and we get paid opposite weeks, which is good, so we always have a paycheck each week. But sometimes they're crappy paychecks, and it's just the way it is. And I had the money for the rent, and I didn't want to spend that till I had to, and I had friends so I could probably call that had the money, but I wasn't going to do that.
No, that's more of a last resort thing too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get embarrassed. You don't want to go to your friends and say, So, make a long story short, the dog ended up staying 2 nights instead of 1, and it cost me $900.
Barbara, I feel horrible for you. That is a terrible position to be in, and that's why this is so important. That 2/3 of the people can't come up with it. You're standing there saying this is something that is very important to you. Your pet is that important. You need to come up with money to save its life. And you're looking going, I don't know where I'm going to come up with it. Bill in Moscow, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Doing fine. Could you come up with $1,000 if you had to this afternoon? Bill, you need $1,000.
Yeah, fortunately I could. A rainy day fund. I'm not rich, but
that's been something you've worked on, right?
Yeah, I think you're saying 2/3 of the people could not come up with $1,000.
Just shy of that, yeah, to 64%, yeah.
That's unbelievable. Seems like it's the same people that when you ask them what they do with their money, they really don't know. They think they know, but they don't know.
That's true. I mean, most of us do not have it down to the penny every month where we say, I'm going to spend, $249.53 every month on food and so on and so forth. It's just like, well, kind of in this range. Oh, I ended up with $20 more this month.
Aside from the people, most people have fixed income. A lot of people have fixed bills. So you have a pretty good idea what's going out every month. And things do pop up, like the woman with the vet bill. I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
But, I have friends, and, they seem broke all the time and have trouble saving. And I just tell them, and I'm going to keep it short, is just write down for a month or two on a little pad of paper every single penny you spend, whether it's a newspaper at Bob Evans, whatever it is. Write it down, and then you'll know where your money goes, and then you can make the adjustment and start figuring a way to save.
It's really interesting, Bill, that most of these people, I would bet, the 64%, are not people that are living on Skid Row. Some are very poor. Some have very modest income. Some people have lost their jobs, health situations, whatever. But a good portion of these are people who cannot come up with it simply because they haven't prioritized. They have not said, I am going to make sure that I save and build up a rainy day fund. They have not done that. Why? Why don't we look at that as a priority? I'm going to share my thought on that. And also, a bunch of people want to comment. We'll get to them next on the big one, 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast from Frank Marzullo. Sunny skies, a tad warmer this afternoon, high 85. Clouds increase tonight, low 61. Could see some afternoon showers tomorrow and a high of 84. 65 now at 700 WLW. Quick programming note, I'm pinch hitting tomorrow noon to 3. Please join me noon to 3 tomorrow on the big one, 700 WLW. Most Americans, in fact 64%, could not come up with $1,000 liquid if they had to. Why? Why in a country that has prospered for so long, where there is such a high quality of life, where there's, I mean, it's virtually impossible to starve. Yeah, there's homeless people out there and that, but there's food everywhere. I mean, it's hard to starve. There's still opportunity. It's getting more difficult, but it's still out there. Why hasn't saving money been a priority? I think it's because we have not been taught to save, not by our parents, but there is a general overall attitude that you don't have to save. See, part of the reason the Federal Reserve was set up in the first place was to smooth out all of the highs and lows with the economy. Smooth it all out. Don't want too many highs or too many lows. The problem is they don't want too many lows, really. But if you smooth out so there's not too many lows, you also smooth out so there's not too many highs. They kind of go hand in hand. And people get kind of shaky. They see things go, they down, even though there's probably going to be an up of equal, significance right down the road. They do not like that. So instead of us looking like people did for years that, hey, I got a lot of stuff now, tomorrow may not work out so well, I'll put a little bit in reserve. We don't. Why? It's not just our parents who haven't taught us fiscal responsibility. In general, we know it's a prosperous country. And we know that there are these social safety nets in place, not just officially through, government entities, but also because of charities and all kinds of organizations. We know it's out there. So something that started with a noble purpose, help people who cannot help themselves. The different various social safety nets that said, we need to help people who cannot truly help themselves. The indigent, extremely poor, the infirmed. We set up social safety nets, whether through the Great Society or the New Deal. We set these up. But because of them, you and I said, we don't have to worry about those things. It's always out there. I don't have to plan for retirement. It's coming. I got Social Security. That's been the attitude. The fallout from these noble ideas, when implemented, is you and I don't have to plan for the future, or so we think. So we don't. We haven't. But then we elect people who also have that idea. I mean, heck, they were raised around us as well. We put them in office. So the fallout from us not doing it is your government not doing it. They don't practice that principle either. I think most of this can be tracked back to the attitude that you and I have been taught, what we have learned from things like Social Security and welfare and all the social safety nets out there. As noble as they may be in plan, in idea, in conception, the practical nature is they've taught us not to be self-sufficient and certainly not plan for the future. Coming up, we're going to get a little update on gold. It's still, I think, over $1,700 an ounce. We're going to hear from the American Trading Company, find out if people are going bonkers selling it off. Maybe people are trying to buy now, think it'll go up more. And I've got a video to share with you of a guy going off on the economy that is hilarious. We'll do it in about 5 minutes or so on the big one, 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. Reds take on the Padres, Great American Ballpark. First pitch at 12:35 on the big one, 700 WLW. So earlier in the week, I see gold go over $1,700 an ounce, and I was like, all right, I got to get somebody on to talk a little bit about this and what's going on as far as people, buying and selling it out on the street, because that's how most of us are going to do it. Most of us are probably not going to go invest in, gold bullion or something somewhere. And then I hadn't checked last night. It turns out yesterday over $1,800 an ounce. That is incredible. Joining me now from the American Trading Company, Aaron Ruther. How are you, sir?
Good, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Was it 1,800? Did you see the what it spiked at yesterday?
Yesterday morning it opened just above 1,800.
That's
fallen
amazing.
off a little bit, but it's still unbelievably high historically. So.
Now I do commercials for the American Trading Company, and they'll buy your gold and that. How's business been with the extra spike in price? Are you guys going crazy?
It's been pretty hectic. Yeah, to say the least, it's been pretty hectic. It's been pretty steady all year, but the last 2 months have been unbelievable.
Yeah, people coming in with pliers, pulling their fillings out and stuff. Is that is it that bad yet?
It hasn't quite been that bad, but it has been busy.
So is it primarily old gold jewelry that people are coming in with? Is that it?
Primarily, yes. I mean, has been some bullion buying and selling, but it is primarily jewelry.
And what do you guys do with it? You smelt it in the back room, or do you sell it to somebody else, or you put it for sale?
We send it off to be melted, yeah.
Would you think that I mean, just and nobody knows for sure, but just in what you've seen and how it spiked, do you think it's probably going to roll back just a little bit, a lot, or do we still have some wave to go yet with it?
Yeah, well, typically anytime the market moves up as fast as it did, there is correction. However, I mean, with the way all the uncertainty is in Europe and the United States, I don't see it collapsing or anything. I think there's still room to go up, believe it or not.
Yeah, I could probably see that. You know, it may, like I said, roll back a little bit, just the general ups and downs. But if it does fall significantly, I think that's probably, and that's just my speculation, a ways down the road before you see it, fall
I would
out.
agree. I would agree.
How is silver doing now? Because it was up as well, but not like gold.
Yeah, correct. Silver's just kind of hanging where it has been for pretty much all year, other than the spike we had, and I think it was March. It spiked up and then came back to right around the $40 mark. It's pretty much been there for a few months now, so it's kind of just hanging in there. It's kind of tough to say what silver's going to do.
You guys also buy other things as well. What else do you guys buy?
Well, we buy
coins and,
like I said, any U.S. coins and currency, older currency. We also deal in Rolex watches, military items.
So you buy and sell. So if somebody's interested in old currency, you can roll in for that too.
Correct. Absolutely. We have all kinds of collectible currency.
What's your business done in the last couple years or so because of the economy? I'm guessing people are in just trying to sell.
Oh yeah, it's 90% of our business is buying jewelry. Obviously, I shouldn't say 90% is jewelry, but a big percentage is buying jewelry, old gold jewelry. Then again, we do have the bullion sales. If anybody wants to pick up a gold bar for investment, gold coin for investment, silver coins for investment, we do a lot of that as well. So it's not just the jewelry, but that is our main entity.
See, the way I understand it, Jim Scott has been he's smelting it himself in his basement. I mean, he has bars down there, but for most of us, yeah, if you're interested, you roll in. In fact, I've used you guys. It was a great experience. I went in. I had some old gold.
Yeah, you came in. We took care of you.
Yeah,
I remember you coming in. We took care of you. So.
Was simple, was easy. I got a great price, and I was happy. So now I'm going, do I have any other gold around? Do I have anything else?
It would be a good time to find some. I can tell you that.
That's a good. Yeah, you might. You know, it's funny though. There's so many people that have, an old gold necklace or rings or something. They, you forget about it. You throw them in your jewelry case or in your dresser drawer or something. Now might be the time to say, okay, I'll go ahead and sell it.
There has never been a better time.
All right.
There's never been ever.
What's that?
Gold this high. There's never been a better time. So now would be the time to check your old jewelry boxes.
This is the highest price gold has ever been. I know. I'm not sure if we're at the point where it is now crested, adjusting for inflation. The official price is higher than it's ever been. Adjusting for inflation, we're getting real close to the highest value, it's ever been.
Right. Yeah, I haven't checked that number in a while. It's obviously to us in our normal everyday operations, it's not as big of a deal, but I think you're right. Last I did look, we were right around the highest value regardless of inflation.
All right, it's the American Trading Company. You got an office on Galbraith and also Harrison Avenue.
That's correct.
Appreciate you joining me. It's Aaron Ruther on 700 WLW. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Doc.
And I have a link to their information up there. It's just amazing to see how people are going crazy for this stuff. I've had friends that, wait, what's that place you do the commercials for? I got some stuff to sell. But it's $1,800 an ounce. Yeah, dig out those old rings and stuff. Now's the time. I mean, yeah, it could go up a little bit more. Maybe you wait a few more weeks, see what happens, but start pulling those things out, huh? Might be the time to buy that metal detector and go out. Did you see the story about gold on the streets in New York? This came out a couple of months ago. The guy goes around looking closely at the gold that is in the pavement in New York City. For all kinds of different reasons, people will, lose little gold flakes here and there. It's almost like Paint Your Wagon. Remember the old movie Paint Your Wagon? It's not that significant. But the guy managed to find a significant amount of just the average streets, on the average streets in New York, little bits of gold and stuff. Just, I don't know if they flaked off of rings, they hit their rings or whatever it is, dropped certain things. Enough that he could gather it all up and go and sell it. It was pretty cool. I'm about at that point. I'm ready to get the metal detector. Might as well go ahead and try to make it if it's $1,800 an ounce. All right, I've got to share with you this online posting, this video blog that I was going to call a comedian. I guess he's a comedian because he's funny, but I also think he's pretty serious. I'll say commentator. I'll share it with you next on the big one, 700 W. Coming up at 10:50 this morning, as we do every Friday morning, headlines of the week. Just the best headlines from all over the place throughout from the last week. All right, if you're somebody that's been stressed out by the news and frustrated by all the craziness, I mean, there was a Republican presidential debate last night, which I watched, and I wish I could have that 2 hours back of my life. My only commentary on that is simply, really? This is the best they have? Really? There were some bright spots, but really, that's it? That's what you have? Well, if you see that stuff and you are just tired of it and you're frustrated and there's a guy, I guess he's a comedian. I'm going to call him commentator because he's making some really good points. I will share a couple of minutes of his commentary, and then you'll be able to find this on my blog at 700WLW.com. His name, Felonious Monk.
Yo, it's your man Felonious Monk, man. I ain't been here in a while, man, but it's too hot for me to get into it. I'm not going to do a lot of explanations today. It's going to be a straight stop it, B. This is to the government. The United States government. Yo, $14.6 trillion, B. All my credit cards would have been cut off a long time before that. All I'm asking y'all to do is balance a budget, B. That's all y'all got to do. Son, we voted for y'all because we were worried about gay rights, marijuana getting legalized, all of these other things that we were concerned about. How can we get roads, more money for schools? You bastards can't even balance a checkbook? A checkbook, B? This is something every American has to go through every week. We got to figure out what we're going to pay, what we got to put off a little bit. You bastards got the $14.6 trillion before you realize, oh, we've reached the debt ceiling. How do you even approach the ceiling without knowing you're close to the ceiling? Listen, you're the best and the brightest. Harvard, Yale, Brown, Cornell, this is what we put out. Should have went to Norfolk State. Bastards, you would have got the same education. You would have spent a whole lot less money. Simple. All I'm saying to you is, and this isn't personal, this isn't Democratic or Republican, this is everybody. Stop being a dickhead and balance the budget. My second question, though, my second issue is, how the do you owe China, B? How do you owe China? How can I tell my daughter with a straight face that capitalism is a better system than communism if we're borrowing all of our money from the biggest communist country on the planet? You get your, oh! Don't even stop it, B. Stop your life, B. Get your whole together. Get all of your together. Don't do another press conference, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Don't do any more television appearances until you got my budget balance. And I'm going to tell you this. Everybody who has a loan to the federal government, paying it. Don't pay your budget. Don't pay your bills because they ain't paying theirs. The I got to pay my bills for if you don't pay your bills. I'm not doing what you don't do. You're the leader. I'm following. You don't pay, I don't pay. How about that? Simple. What is your credit score? What's the government's credit score right now? It's got to be a 350. But you're going to tell me I can't buy a car if my credit score is at a certain number? Your whole life is a 350, B. Your FICO score, your Experian, TransUnion, all your low, B. Get your together. President Obama, personal to you. All the black people was proud. We got a black president. You acting like one right now, B. Pay your bills on time. Stop. I ain't even, it's too hot for me to talk. I'm sweating and
He just goes on and on and on. And as crazy as it sounds, isn't he right? He's absolutely, we're not paying our bills. Haven't you felt that way where you're just like, what are you doing? This isn't that hard. We all got to balance our bills, right? We got to balance our checkbook. He likes the expletives, certainly. Now, there is the non-beeped version of that on the blog at 700WLW.com. Felonious Monk. I would have really liked to hear that last night in the presidential debate. Sure. Put Felonious up there. So they're all up there. Well, as governor of this, well, as senator here, well, as congressperson, I did. What? What are you talking about? Balance the budget. I would have at least let him be one of the next contributors. Any other debates that they have, whether it's just the Republicans or the general election or debate, we need to have him there asking all the questions. I want Felonious Monk asking them the questions. Really? You can't balance the checkbook? How do you owe money to China? Love it. It's Doc Thompson on the big one, 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. All right, so you're that frustrated about all that stuff. You're ready to go on that rant. I'm sure you felt like that a whole lot. So how do we do it? What's the big solution? What are we missing here? We know you got to balance the budget and all that stuff, but it comes down to jobs. That certainly would help everything. How do you create jobs in America? Lots of possibilities. Some ideas I would think are more powerful than others, and you probably do too. But let me explain what the biggest idea is. The biggest idea, according to Jay Carney, the Minister of Propaganda. Jay Carney, America's Minister of Propaganda, thinks one of the few ways that you could actually create jobs is by giving people unemployment checks. Wait a minute. They're unemployed. How does that create? Well, here's Jay Carney being asked about that in a press conference.
I understand why extending unemployment insurance provides relief to people who need it. But how does that create jobs?
It is by, I would expect a reporter for the Wall Street Journal would know this part of the entrance exam to see it on the paper. No, seriously, I mean, it is one of the most direct ways to infuse money into the economy, because people who are unemployed and obviously aren't earning a paycheck are going to spend the money that they get. They're not going to save it, they're going to spend it. And unemployment insurance, that money goes directly back into the economy, dollar for dollar, virtually. So it is, and when it goes back into the economy, it means that everywhere that those people, every place that money is spent, it has added business, and that creates growth and income for businesses that then lead them to making decisions about more hiring. So there are few other ways that can more directly put money into the economy than providing unemployment insurance.
Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. If I spend money that I get and I go out there, my unemployment check, he said it's the most direct way, or one of the most direct ways, and few other ways are more direct. He's missing a fundamental concept, the fundamental understanding of economics. That's diminishing every cycle it makes. So if you get money in unemployment, and you go out and buy cheeseburgers and bicycles and pay your rent and all that stuff, everybody you pay to pays taxes. In fact, you may pay taxes on it as well. So by the time they get that money, that is less, the people that you're giving it to for services and goods, they're getting less of it. They, of course, get taxed on it. So less goes through to the people that they are buying things with, because if you're a business owner, you're also buying food and houses and everything else. And those people pay taxes on it. It cycles all the way back around to you. And let's say you get more money. Eventually, it'll cycle down to nothing because everybody pays on it. Unemployment checks. That's the big plan to create jobs. Give more people unemployment checks. You know what? Let's put everybody on unemployment. Think how many jobs we could create if everybody was on unemployment tomorrow. Oh, it would just boom. It'd be like the Industrial Revolution. Jobs everywhere. That is ridiculous. By the way, in the middle of all this, we're going to give $100 million. This just came in, $100 million to Somalia for their famine. Horrible what's going on in Somalia. I mean, they say that 29,000 children under the age of 5 have died in the last 90 days. 640,000 small children are acutely malnourished. It's a horrible situation. But why are they asking us for money when we don't have it? We borrow it from China and other places and pay them interest to give to some. Why don't they just ask China for it? Doesn't that make more sense? Doc Thompson on the home of the Reds, 700 WL.